Hello folks, welcome back to the Urban Rider Studio. In front of me we have some helmets from Caberg, two helmets actually. So we've got the Duke X or the Duke Evo. These replace a previous version of the Duke, and the entry point really is the X. It is a little bit simpler in a few different ways, which I'll get onto. The Evo is a little bit more advanced, maybe with a slightly more premium finish as well. One of the big selling points to these, because they are some of Caberg's most popular full-face helmets, is the value for money. It's undeniable. These are great value for money across the board. The Duke X, for example, as of the making of this video, has a starting price of around £175, and the Duke Evo has a starting price of around £220. To add a little bit of context though, against the rest of the market, these are, or they use an ABS shell, and typically with motorcycle helmets, that does help bring the cost down. They also, I believe, make it in only one shell size across their size range. As a quick summary, the differences between the X or the Evo are that they have a different top vent, they have a different chin bar, different mechanism on that chin bar as well, different vents on that chin bar. The visor mechanism is beefed up, it is arguably better on the Evo over the X. The Evo also gets a better version of pin lock, and the liner is slightly more plush as well. I'd say more moisture wicking actually. So let's dive into some of the details with the Duke X then. Let's start there. So with this one, as I mentioned, it uses an ABS outer shell. They make it in one external shell size. We also have 5 different color choices as of the making of this video. There is, I believe, a small weight difference between them. The Duke X is ever so slightly lighter, although it's probably going to be imperceptible. There isn't a huge difference between them. They're both around 1,600 grams roughly. And I don't think I've actually mentioned so far, but it should be pretty visually obvious. These are a flip-up helmet, so you can wear them in both the open or closed position, and they are safety approved in both open or closed positions. They of course pass ECE 2206 safety standards. You will see that it has a lock on the side, which is fairly easy to locate. These are the sort of things that as you own a helmet, you start to get more familiar and comfortable with, so you can lock it in place like so. And of course, the mechanism for opening it is on the chin bar there in the middle, slightly different from the Duke Evo, which I will get on to, but it works pretty much the same. So as you can see, you can open that there. You will also notice as I open it that we have an internal drop-down sun visor, always a useful thing, and that is located on the top of your head, the mechanism for it, so you can open or close this. And you will also notice the liner, which is removable. It is comfortable, but slightly more comfortable on the Evo. And the chin curtain is also removable. They use a micrometric strap around your neck, and it is a pretty simple helmets. With the venting, although it has some venting, I would argue if you do spend a bit more on other helmets at more premium price tags, you expect things like that to be better, and it would be on other helmets that we offer. They have more substantial venting, but you do at least have some. So you've got this on the top of your head there, so you can open and close that, and then you'll see the channels on the inside actually aren't the most substantial either. There really isn't a lot of channel to the inside. You really want some channels in that EPS liner to allow that airflow to go through, and it becomes more obvious then. This is probably a little bit more passive as far as venting or cooling goes on a helmet. And you can fit pin lock, so it uses pin lock 30, which isn't quite as good as the Evo, but at least it has that there, and it's always going to be useful to stop the helmet from fogging up if you require that. And with either of these helmets, you can fit a comms unit. They actually have their own specific unit for their helmets, or you can pair it with whatever you might be using instead. Now let's switch over to the Duke Evo then, which does have a lot of crossover with that helmet, obviously. The outer shell, the composition, that sort of thing is of course the same safety standards. It is a flip-up helmet. You've got the same switch on that side as well, so you can lock it if you want, although on the chin, it's a bit easier to access or locate that. And because it's on the bottom, it's just more natural that you would be pulling that anyway. So definitely a more usable chin mechanism on this one, a little bit easier to get on with. On the inside, you have that slightly more plush liner. You've got the same micrometric strap around your neck there. And again, it's got space for a comms unit. Slightly better chin curtain as well. And as I mentioned, the venting is a bit more substantial on this one. So you have that on the chin bar there, that does differ from the other one. And then you've got a vent on the top, which is pretty much the same actually for that one. And the channels on the inside are also about the same. So in terms of overall cooling, again, fairly passive for venting and cooling on this. And you've got the same internal drop-down visor if you want to use that. As well as the overall visual tweaks, we have this in more color choices. So I think it's 9 as of the making of this video. And the visor is slightly easier to change. The mechanism on the side is a bit more beefed up as well. So you can open that. You've got various different positions that you can set it in. That is different to the other version, to the Duke X, as you can see. Slightly different way of opening. It's located on the front versus the side, and the pin lock is better on this one. It uses the pin lock Max Vision 70, for example. For sizing, I would describe these as accurate, perhaps not quite as universal in their overall comfort and shape as, again, some more premium brands, but overall it is an accurate size at least. For myself, actually, with this type of helmet, I also found it with some of the Nolan helmets. I found my chin was touching the chin bar on these because it's a little bit beefier than some others. Not a deal breaker in terms of the fit, it still goes on fine. It's just noticeable versus a standard open face helmet that maybe doesn't have this mechanism. So just bear that in mind when you're checking for yourself. But you can double check our size guide on the website if you need to, and links for it can be found in the description. As can links to the rest of Caberg's range. Let us know your thoughts on them in the comment section, and I'll see you soon. Bye.